The day my daughter realized I wasn't her ATM anymore, the day I stopped being my daughter's bank, was the day she called me a monster. She stood in my living room screaming, her husband pacing like a wolf behind her. "Where is the money, Mom?" she shouted. But what she didn't know yet was that a single decision I made that morning was about to change all of our lives forever. And by the end of that day, someone in that house would lose everything. When I unlocked my front door that evening, something felt wrong. The house was too quiet, too tense. Then I saw them. My daughter Clara stood in the middle of the living room with her arms crossed, her face pale with anger. Her husband Derek was pacing back and forth, staring at his phone like it had betrayed him. The moment they saw me, Derek exploded. "Why did the ATM decline my card?" His voice shook. Clara stepped forward. "What did you do with the money?" I set my handbag down slowly. For a moment, no one spoke. Then I said the words that shattered their world. "Moved my pension into a new account." Silence. Pure silence. Derek's face turned white. Clara blinked like she hadn't heard correctly. "You, what?" she whispered. "I opened a private account," I said calmly. "My money goes there now." And that was when the shouting began. Clara's voice cracked as she screamed, "But we need that money." And in that moment, I finally realized something terrifying. My daughter didn't see me as family. She saw me as income. 3 years earlier, my life had collapsed. My husband Samuel died suddenly while repairing the fence in our backyard. One moment he was laughing, the next moment he was gone. For 42 years we had built everything together. The house, our savings, our quiet routines. After the funeral, the silence in the house became unbearable. That was when Clara suggested something that sounded loving. "Mom, why don't you stay with us for a while?" She hugged me tightly. "You shouldn't be alone." At the time, I believed she was saving me from loneliness. What I didn't realize was that I was walking into a trap. At first everything seemed normal. I cooked dinner, I helped clean, I babysat when friends visited. It made me feel useful again. Then, Derek asked for a small favor. "Could you lend me $200 for a training course?" I agreed. A month later, Clara needed help with a credit card payment. Then came another request. And another. Until one day Derek said something that changed everything. "You know, it might be easier if your pension just goes into our account." He smiled like it was a practical idea. Clara agreed instantly. "We'll manage the bills for you, Mom." I trusted them, so I signed the papers. And that was the moment I unknowingly handed over control of my life. Months passed, then years, and slowly, I stopped being Clara's mother. I became the house servant. I cooked their meals. I cleaned their mess. I ironed Derek's shirts. Meanwhile, my pension paid for their vacations, their shopping, their expensive dinners. But the breaking point came one night. While cleaning the kitchen, I found a bank statement in the trash. I wasn't meant to see it, but I did. And what I read made my hands shake. In 3 years, they had spent more than $70,000 of my money. Restaurants, jewelry, trips, electronics, luxury after luxury, while I wore the same old shoes and skipped my arthritis medication to save money. That night I couldn't sleep. And by sunrise, I had made a decision. The next morning I walked into the bank. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought I might faint. The banker asked me a simple question. "How can I help you today?" And I replied with 6 words that would start a family war. "I want a new private account." The banker printed every transaction from the past 3 years. Page after page. The truth was worse than I imagined. They weren't just spending my pension, were drowning in debt and using my money to survive. The banker looked at me gently. "Would you like to remove their access?" My hands trembled, but I nodded. Double quotes, yes. Within 30 minutes, my pension belonged to me again. For the first time in 3 years, I felt something I hadn't felt since Samuel died. Control. And now we were back in the living room. Clara crying. Derek furious. "You can't do this," Derek shouted. "You live here." I laughed softly. "This house belongs to me." Both of them froze. "Yes," I continued. "I checked the deed this morning." Clara stared at me. "You're serious?" "Completely." I walked toward the stairs, but before I reached them, I turned back. "You have 2 options," I said calmly. "You can stay here and start paying rent like adults, or you can move out." Clara collapsed onto the sofa sobbing. Derek looked at me with pure hatred. And then he said the one thing he thought would destroy me. Your husband would be ashamed of you. For a moment, my heart shattered. But then, I realized something. Samuel would never be ashamed of me. He would be proud that I finally stood up for myself. 2 weeks later, Derek got a job. Clara started paying off her debts. For the first time in years, they treated me with respect. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because they finally understood something. I was no longer their safety net, and strangely, that saved our relationship. Because real family isn't built on money, it's built on boundaries. Sometimes the hardest lesson in life is learning that love without respect is just another form of control. For years I believed being a good mother meant sacrificing everything, my peace, my savings, my dignity. But the truth is this: if you allow people to treat you like an ATM, they eventually forget you're a human being. And the moment you finally stand up for yourself, they call you selfish. But sometimes, self-respect is the bravest act of love. If this story touched you, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been taken advantage of by someone you loved? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy powerful real-life stories like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that remind us that it's never too late to reclaim your dignity. The day I finally said no to my own daughter was the day I almost lost her forever. She stood in the middle of my living room, eyes blazing, hands shaking while her husband shouted, demanding to know where the money had gone. But what they didn't know was that the quiet old woman they had used for years had already made a decision that morning. And that decision was about to change all of our lives forever. Where is the money, Mom? My daughter Lena slammed her hand against the kitchen table so hard the teacups rattled. Her husband, Travis, paced the room like a storm about to break. My card was declined at the pharmacy. He snapped, your pension account is empty. I calmly set my purse on the counter. I moved the money. Silence fell over the room like a sudden winter. Lena blinked. What do you mean, you moved it? I met her eyes. My pension now goes to a new account, one that only I control. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Travis laughed, a cold, ugly laugh. You can't do that, he said. We depend on that money. Depend. The word echoed in my mind like a cracked bell. For 3 years, my retirement had paid their bills, their shopping sprees, their dinners, their vacations. And now they called it dependence. No, I said quietly. You chose to depend on it. Lena's face turned pale. You're going to destroy us, she whispered. But what she didn't realize was that the real story had started 3 years earlier. And that story was the reason I finally took my life back. 3 years ago, my husband Daniel died on a quiet Wednesday morning. 1 minute he was watering the tomatoes in our garden, the next minute, he was gone. 40 years of marriage ended in the time it took for an ambulance to arrive. The house became unbearably silent. His chair at the table stayed empty, his boots stayed by the door, and every night I sat in the dark wondering how a person could feel so alone in a house full of memories. That's when Lena appeared with a solution. Mom, she said gently, you shouldn't be alone right now. Come stay with us for a while. Her husband Travis nodded sympathetically. It'll help you heal. I believed them. Because when you're grieving, you want to believe the people who say they love you. At first, everything seemed normal. I cooked dinner, helped around the house, played the role of a grateful guest. Then the requests started. Mom, could you lend us a little money this month? Just until next paycheck. Then, another request. And another. Eventually, Travis suggested something that seemed logical at the time. Why not have your pension deposited into our joint account? He said, that way we can manage the household expenses for everyone. I trusted them, so I signed the papers. And that was the moment everything changed. Within a year, I wasn't a guest anymore. I wasn't even family. I had become something else entirely. Their personal bank account. The realization came on a rainy Tuesday morning. I found a bank statement sticking out of the trash. Curiosity made me pick it up. What I saw made my hands tremble. Restaurant bills, luxury clothing stores, jewelry purchases, thousands of dollars, all paid with my pension, while I slept in the smallest room in the house and wore the same old clothes year after year. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time, a terrifying question entered my mind. Did my own daughter love me? Or Just the money I brought with me. The next morning I went to the bank. My heart pounded the entire bus ride. The young banker looked at me kindly. How can I help you today? I took a deep breath. I want to open a new account, I said. One that no one else can access. She nodded slowly. You'd be surprised how many people come here to save.